In fact, I would say at this point in time, I probably didn't know, but I stopped being a singer in, I don't know, March 12, 13, 2016, which is almost 2 years. And strangely, sometimes I think I'm still a singer, but I don't work anymore. And maybe that's a transitional stage of not being a singer. I mean, I don't know. But I have no aspirations to want to sing. I know now that I wouldn't be able to walk out on a stage or a platform or whatever and sing the way that I have sung, did sing, would want to sing. I don't have that anymore. Like, I can't walk as fast, I can't run as fast, I'm not as strong. It comes with, I suppose, natural process of getting older, and now I need to try and flip that over like a pancake and say, but I did do it, and it was probably the most fantastic thing that you could do in your life if it's for you. And I have to say, I think that although I was a late starter at 30, I sort of skirted with academics. I started my life as a city planner, town planner, and worked as a town planner in Manchester. And then all of a sudden became an opera singer. There was a change overnight. And so I came in and I wasn't known. And now with all the people behind me, I've left, and that's okay. You know. And if I could still do it, and then I feel I would have been denied by circumstances of too many singers, not being in the popular stream or whatever, not having the roles that you now can sing that are available, and they go to other singers, and you have to accept that. But that's not the case. I know, in fact, that if Danska came up, I'd say, oh, I'd love to do Danska. But I don't think I can do it justice like I did before. So I hope I'm smart enough to say, well, yeah, let's try it, let's see what happens. That's not what I think professionals do. You know? I was once asked in an interview that I did somewhere, I think on radio, and it said, what can you be grateful for? And the answer that I came up with, and I still believe it's a valid question, I said, I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity, and very, very grateful that I didn't have more success than what I did have. And okay, so I was a few steps from perhaps the real top, you know. And a few steps back from the real top, you can still have some control over your life. This is how I recognize it. If you're one or two steps from the top, however long the top is for you, if it's for you, then people tell you exactly where you should be. And you know unequivocally, if you don't do it, they're disappointed. And it will go against you. And you're in a different kind of conflict with yourself, with what you should be doing. Yeah. And that with hindsight, I believe causes an imbalance. It takes away some of the enjoyment, because you're living part of the life that you want to be as a singer, and part of the life that now what we call media want you to have. They want you to be here. We need you here. We need you there. We need you to do this and this sort of thing. And so there's no time to be the person that you are. And I feel if you lose the person that you are, then you've lost something very, very valuable that's can be gone in a flash. You know, it's just literally gone, and you only know that kind of life for however long that is. It may be 10, 15 years, it may be 5 years. But then getting out of that creates a distortion. So I really enjoyed it because no one knew who on earth I was. You know, yes. You look at sort of like Pavarotti. I did a Verdi Requiem. Pavarotti, Leontine Price, Yvonne Minton, and Gwynne Howell. Who the hell is Gwynne Howell? You know. Yeah. And yes, they recognize you when you do it, and it's a very distortive. I did one of these in the Carnegie Hall, and the place was packed out, and tickets are going for like $3,000 a seat or this sort of thing. And then at the end of the show, you see political people that you see on television, you see film stars, you see all that sort of thing, and then you go back to the hotel, pack your bag, go home, get on the plane, catch a tube, get home on the bus, and then your feet's back on the ground again, or you clean the car and cut the grass. Yeah. You know. But now what happens if you don't do that? Then all of a sudden you're in you're in floaty cloud limbo land, you know, and it can have that kind of distortion. You know, if you're singing the Verdi Requiem and the Steuermann in Tristan, that's fine. You know, you say, no, I don't do roles like that anymore. I only do these roles. The other distortion of that is, of course, that you're working with the best conductors. And I don't know, all of a sudden I had a bardo talking to me at the stage door to Covent Garden. I had Joseph Cripps saying, I want you to come to the Austrian embassy and work with me on this creation that we're doing in the summer in Aix-en-Provence. And it's very, very difficult to walk out of the stage door and leave that behind you. And so I'm grateful that I managed to balance the two most of the time, and I can't say it didn't affect me. You feel tremendously proud if you switch the television on and say, yes, I've worked with him. We worked together. You have memories of it, you know. But you've still got to, when your wife asks you to clean the dishes, you clean the dishes. You know, you don't say, I'll ring up and get somebody here over to clean the dishes. You know, it can distort reality, and of course everything we do on stage isn't real either. You know. And so when people come up and say to me, I know you, I say, no, you don't know me. You know what you see on the stage. You got no idea of what I'm, and you should be thankful. You got no idea of what I'm like, you know. Well, I had the pleasure of singing, again, which I might be thrown in the deep end. Joan Sutherland hadn't sung at Covent Garden for 7 years. She came back to sing Lucia. And in the cast was Joan Sutherland, Pavarotti, Louis Quilico singing the baritone role, and me, and Ricky Bonning conducting. Now again, you couldn't get tickets for love nor money. After the first night, the curtain call went on for 35 minutes, and the stage was littered with flowers, at least, well, I can't think of centimeters for a minute, but at least a foot deep or more. Now I'd never seen anything like that before. I was absolutely amazed. And the people outside the stage door were right across the other side of the stage. And you think, and all of a sudden you're part of it. Now that was totally unsuspecting. And for a minute I lost the track of the question.
Well, it was of the big names.
Of the big names. Well,
who was held up on a platform? That was amazing. I mean, the one thing I like to say about Pavarotti, when I came on the stage and told him that Lucia had died, he came up to me and he has to sing this fantastic aria, which he sang fantastic, and he grabbed me by the arms, and by dynamic tension, my feet left the ground. So that showed how much power went in to delivering that aria, which he delivered absolutely fantastic. You know, I mean, you think, God, I can't believe I'm on the stage with people who've got this amount of talent and ability. But it could have been a bit scary, but you know, you just have to back yourself. So that's that incident. Bergonzi, the times that I sang with Bergonzi, he was always very complimentary and offering advice and saying something about your singing, something to watch and this sort of thing. So he was both a teacher and a colleague. I think probably Pavarotti changed my perception of singing. And it was in the Verdi Requiem in Carnegie Hall. I sang right next to him, and all of a sudden when he sang, it came out like bullets. The words came out like bullets, you know? And it was like a Kalashnikov going off, and you couldn't feel any pressure on the trigger. There was no sense of. He just opened his mouth and he just delivered this, and he could breathe. He could breathe, you know, I think very fast. So and so the phrase seemed to just expand, like the best golfers hitting the ball, and you think it's reached its peak, and then it starts to fly another 150 yards because it's hit in such a perfect way. And I thought, God, the position of the voice. And I'll balance that one time more recently when Tony Pappano said to me, he said, Gwynne, connect with your bass voice. And so all of a sudden my my voice had gone into a slightly upper register, very bright, and I think nice sounding, but not using all the bottom register. Now, the bass singers that I like were, apart from Domingo and Pavarotti, they would have an effect on you because of the way they perform. Was Christoff. I like the way Christoff. I didn't like the person. He used to try his best to stand in between me and the conductor, which in Don Carlos, which I in fact did stop, and then he didn't like my narration at the end about singing Piment to his Boris, when he made this awful gurgling sound to try to drown my voice out on stage, which I went forward and so I got hold of my stick and banged it on the stage and looked at him, and then he didn't like that either, because then he shut up. I don't know. You admire people for what they bring to you on stage, and I suppose people like Gwynne Howell, so it's just a joy to be on stage. The different kind of people that bring things to you, impress you at the time. What I think it is, it's difficult to keep them together, to keep the thing warm and this sort of thing, so you can remember what they did while you're doing it and say to yourself, what's wrong with that scene? Why do I feel uncomfortable with it? What is it? What do I need to do? And sometimes producers can help you to do that, or other singers, or you just need some quiet time with yourself to do it. I mean, I think those are really important for you to feel comfortable, as you were feeling comfortable with performing. And I would say, I didn't mind being anonymous, provided that I enjoyed or was comfortable with the work that I produced. That's what made me feel good, not necessarily the applause, which of course is very flattering and deafening, but as soon as it stops, you can't take it home with you, My legacy, well, whether it's, I'm trying to think now whether it's an inward legacy or an outward legacy. I sang most of the things that I believe that I was meant to be able to sing, and I think if somebody said, well, what have you sung? I would say, I sang Hans Sachs, and the feeling of, it's, Bernd Weichel said to somebody else, he didn't say to me, but he said to somebody who related it, he said, Bernd Weichel sang lots of Hans Sachs. He said, it's like climbing Everest and then jumping off. And you start at something like 5:30, and you just hope that you'll be there at 10 to 10, and you've got to work your way through it and be performing. Somebody who shall remain nameless came into my dressing room and wisely on the first night and said, when are you going to bloody well start singing? Okay, so I don't believe that any Hans Sachs is going to start the first act as he'd like to finish the opera. And the reason why you don't do that is that you might not finish the opera. And so you can't blow it. You've got to. It's a race. It's a race and a battle and an exercise with yourself, with the production, with the conductor, with all your emotions. And only somebody who doesn't understand that would say that rather stupid thing. However, it was an unbelievable pleasure. Although the next morning after singing, I had no voice. I had no voice at all. I thought, my God. And I think if you looked at my chords, they were like mushy peas, I think. And then I only did them every 4 days, and I recovered and sort of thing. And I never cancelled. And I sang, I don't know, 16 or 18 performances. And I know it was in English, and I'd like it to have been in German, but it wasn't. That's the way how it came out. But it's always been a little personal pinnacle for myself. And the outward legacy is that like all artists, I think, you went out there and you gave over your best. And I'd like to think that for a good 95% of it, I didn't disappoint. If I wasn't in my best voice, I still gave a good, committed performance. So thankfully, I never got hammered
by the critics for anything. I mean, they could say, Gwynne Howell wasn't in best form, but enjoyable performance or whatever, or just wasn't on my best form. Okay, well then we aren't. Great soccer players go for 20 matches, they don't score a goal. It doesn't demean them as a football player. So yeah, I think that's what I'd like to say. And so the next musical moment was a modern jazz concert from friends of mine at the Swansea School of Art, which I went to before I went to university, and we went down to Cardiff to see Dave Brubeck Quartet playing at the Gaumont. It's still there, but it's not a theatre anymore. And out they came, and Joe Morello was the drummer, and he came out and he played with the same drums that they played in the first half with some nameless group just to warm the audience up. And he started just tooting around with the drums, and then all of a sudden he just settled into a pattern. We suddenly worked it out that he was playing a military roll in the right hand and a cha-cha rhythm in the left hand together in strangely enough the same time scale. And just to say, on American television, just as a digression, I saw Dizzy Gillespie beat 13 against 9 in the same musical time with his fingers. 13 against 9. It gives you a measure of the skill of tempo and rhythm that they have, which is a bit mind-boggling. And then it was followed by Eugene Wright, the bass player, and I don't think he was playing anything much. And then Paul Desmond shuffled out, slightly emaciated, blue suit, playing this very strange, breathy alto sax, which looked as if he just found it in a skip. So it was all didn't have any of that glossy colour on it. Very, very. And then Brubeck came out and they played, and then all of a sudden they went into a number. I don't think they said very much. It just went into a number. And all of a sudden, you just wafted away. But Paul Desmond, to me, has the most. Well, he I would say has the Jake Wallace phrase of the modern jazz. And if I can compliment that, say, okay, we all know Take 5, right? And it's got that lovely rhythm, right? Yeah, Desmond wrote that. And so that was, and I think as sadly as it happened, and I don't think he was drugs were about, because Brubeck had fired Norman Bates, a drummer, I think, who was on drugs from the original kind of group, and so I don't know. He died in some Los Angeles motel or something when he was about 49 or 52, and he had tremendous. I think I've got most of his records, and his charismatic sound just kind of blows me away. But then I met Oscar Peterson and Count Basie and George Shearing and I don't know.
How did you meet?
Backstage with somebody who took me backstage. Brubeck I met when we were up he lives near Tanglewood. He gives concerts with the Boston Symphony or at the venue there. I met him, and I missed meeting him here when he was here last at the Barbican, but I talked to his sons, so we reminisced a bit about what his dad had done. So I don't know. Those are nice privileged things that you get by doing what you do and being in the right place. So yeah, I enjoy that. But I also enjoy the Foyer Requiem that I did with Celebadaki, which is like magic. So yeah, I think music creates magic moments, Yeah. Ooh, a favorite dessert. Wow. I do have a sweet tooth. A favorite dessert. You mean a dessert that I would always have if it's on the menu? Ooh. I think maybe, in fact, I'm a bit surprised myself, but yeah, I think summer pudding with a real quality yogurt, natural yogurt, but real quality, not a fake one.